Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World as One. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Hemkaur Soroya and here's a look at what we've lined up for you on Speed News today. Government of India called for an all-party meeting to discuss Operation Sindoor. Home Minister Amit Shah, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, as well as opposition leaders were part of the meeting led by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. The meeting was called to brief opposition parties about the Indian strikes on Pakistan. Opposition parties have supported the government's decision to avenge the Pahalgam attack and praised the armed forces for their service. Following India's Operation Sindoor to avenge the Pahalgam terror attack that left 26 civilians dead, Pakistan is resorting to ceasefire violations. It's using small arms and artillery guns across the line of control in areas opposite Kupwara, Baramulla, Uri and Aknoor areas of Jammu and Kashmir. Fire from Pakistan side was also reported in Gulmarg region, after which gondola services had to be shut. Issuing statement after Operation Sindoor, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif had said his country would avenge the dead, fanning fears of an all-out conflict between the nuclear-armed rivals. Satellite images reveal the extent of the damage caused by overnight strikes from India. Terrorist site belonging to Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toiba was struck in the Punjab province. Satellite images released after the strike show the extent of damage in the cities of Bahawalpur and Muridke. These were among the 7 targets that were used by Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Both groups were designated terrorist organizations by the UN Security Council. Earlier, Jaish-e-Mohammed terror outfit chief Azhar Masood had admitted that 10 of his family members were killed in the missile strikes. This included his sister, her husband and their children. The Indian Defence Ministry said these strikes targeted 9 terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, where terrorist attacks against India have been planned. Indian government said these strikes were carried out with precision, targeting only terror sites and caused no civilian casualties. Following ceasefire violations from Pakistan, India is on a high alert. The country has ramped up its defense systems on all 3 fronts, land, air and sea. It has deployed several frontline warships in the Arabian Sea. Security has also been beefed up in border states like Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat. Increased vigilance is being exercised at Bhuj Airport, bus stand, railway station, temples and key establishments. Police officers have been instructed to maintain surveillance while armed. They've been ordered to remain deployed 24/7, armed and alert. Schools have been shut in Rajasthan's Jodhpur and multiple districts of Jammu and Kashmir. Kashmir University has postponed all exams slated till the 10th of May. Indian Aviation Ministry has closed multiple airports in the country amid escalating tensions with Pakistan. Srinagar Airport has been closed for civil operations until further notice. Flights to and from border states like Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan and Gujarat have also been suspended for the time being. Indian Airlines have announced refunds on cancellations. Air India has announced full refunds on cancellations as well as one-time waiver on rescheduling flights up to 30th of June 2025 for those holding defence fares. While Akasa Air has announced that passengers can reschedule their flight at zero additional cost to any date within 7 days of original travel date, several passengers have been stranded at airports post the cancellation of flights. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval held talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and informed that India has no plans to escalate tensions with Pakistan but is well prepared to retaliate resolutely if Islamabad does so. Doval also spoke to his counterparts in other countries, including the United States, UK, Saudi Arabia and Japan, and briefed them about Operation Sindoor. He spoke to US NSA and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, UK's Jonathan Powell, Saudi Arabia's Musaid Al-Aiban, UAE's H.H. Sheikh Tahanoon and Japan's Masataka Okano, and shared the actions taken and the methods of execution, which were measured, non-escalatory and restrained. Amid rising tensions with Pakistan, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has postponed the upcoming visit to Croatia, Norway and Netherlands. Prime Minister Modi was set to visit the three countries next week during the 13th of May to the 17th. He was set to co-chair the third India-Nordic Summit in Norway, the centerpiece of the visit. While the visits to Croatia and the Netherlands were aimed at bolstering cooperation in areas ranging from trade and to green economy. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi also cancelled his visit to Russia, where he was set to attend the Victory Day celebrations on the 9th of May. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that India will be represented at a different level. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is in India, where he will co-chair a meeting of the Bilateral Joint Commission with India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. According to Iranian Embassy in India, Araghchi will meet senior Indian officials to discuss bilateral issues as well as regional and international developments. He is also expected to call on President Draupadi Murmu. Araghchi's visit was scheduled long before tensions escalated between India and Pakistan over Pahalgam terror attack, and comes at a time when New Delhi and Tehran are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the signing of the India-Iran Friendship Treaty. Now, according to the US media, Donald Trump will announce a trade deal with the United Kingdom on Thursday. The development comes after Trump touted a major upcoming announcement. The New York Times and Politico reported that Trump was set to agree to a deal with Britain, citing multiple people familiar with the plans. Trump had earlier written the deal would be announced with the big and highly respected country. Colombian police have arrested former Senate President Ivan on corruption charges. On Wednesday, the country's Supreme Court issued arrest orders for him. He is accused of receiving 4 billion pesos, that's about $1 million, to help secure congressional approval for key legislation under President Gustavo Petro. The accusations were made by former officials from the National Unit for Disaster Risk Management, who are already in prison as part of the ongoing investigation. The former Senate President has denied the charges. Photos released by police showed the moment of his arrest. In one of the biggest campus demonstrations since last year's student protest movement against Israel's war in Gaza, dozens of protesters staged a pro-Palestinian demonstration at Columbia University on Wednesday. Footage shows protesters standing on tables, beating drums while displaying banners like "Strike for Gaza" and "Liberated Zone." They demanded the university to divest from companies tied to Israel's military. The protest comes amid Colombia's ongoing negotiations with the Trump administration, which recently cut research funding. Trump has labeled such protests anti-Semitic and is seeking to deport some pro-Palestinian international students. Protesters also called for the release of Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist, and Columbia graduate student currently detained in Louisiana. Russian President Vladimir Putin met his Cuban counterpart Miguel Diaz-Canel on Wednesday. Both leaders are seeking to boost cooperation between both countries. During his visit to Moscow, Diaz-Canel will attend commemorative events around the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet Union and its allies over Nazi Germany. Russia's war in Ukraine has led to a breakdown in its relations with most Western states and prompted Moscow to strengthen ties with other countries that share its desire to counter the influence of what it calls the collective West, including the United States since 2022. Russia has already signed strategic partnership pacts with China, North Korea and Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that 21 hostages in Hamas captivity are alive while casting doubt over 3 others. Netanyahu said that Israel is not giving up on any of the hostages and want to bring all of them. His statement comes 1 week after US President Donald Trump said that 24 hostages were alive. Meanwhile, families of hostages have been calling on Netanyahu government to bring back their loved ones, terming the task most urgent and important national task. Over 251 people were taken hostage during the Hamas attacks on southern Israel on the 7th of October 2023, in which 1,200 Israeli civilians were killed. Most of the hostages returned alive to Israel so far were released as part of deals with Hamas during 2 temporary ceasefires in late 2023 and early 2025. In a tragic incident, 5 people lost their lives while 2 others sustained injuries after a helicopter crashed near Ganga Nani in Uttarkashi district of India's Uttarakhand state. The SDRF and the district administration teams have reached the spot for relief and rescue work. Uttarakhand CM Pushkar Singh Dhami called the incident unfortunate and said he has instructed the administration to provide all possible help to the injured. Dhami has also ordered an investigation to ascertain the reason behind the crash. One student was killed and 2 others were wounded in a stabbing in front of a Southern California high school on Wednesday. According to district spokesperson, the stabbing happened in the afternoon as students were leaving school for the day. The incident involved both students and non-students. Authorities are searching for the suspects following the incident. After-school programs and athletics were cancelled. Officials said the school would make crisis counselors available on Thursday. Drone attacks launched by the paramilitary rapid support forces set fire to fuel depots in the city of Kosti in Sudan's southern White Nile state. According to sources, the militia targeted the fuel depots that supply the state with 3 drones, causing fires to break out. This is the second time the drones targeted the main naval base outside Port Sudan this week. Paramilitaries are keeping up their attacks on the seat of the army-aligned government.
الشعب السوداني سيصنع.
Shares in Asia firmed after US President Donald Trump flagged the first trade deal in his global tariff war overnight. S&P 500 futures erased earlier losses to be up 0.5%, while Nasdaq futures rose 0.7%. The pan-European stocks 600 climbed 0.7%. The FTSE futures gained 0.5%. Markets are also keeping their eyes peeled on the Bank of England's policy meeting later in the day, where expectations are for a 0.25 rate cut. Additionally, central banks in Sweden and Norway are due to deliver their latest policy decisions, although no moves are expected. In precious metals, gold prices rallied 0.7% to $3,390 an ounce amid the uncertainties about Fed policy outlook, but still short of its record high of $3,500. The pound jumped against the US dollar, taking the Australian dollar with it after US President Donald Trump said he would announce a major trade deal. Later in the day, a New York Times reported that trade deal would favor Britain. The risk-sensitive Aussie leapt as much as 0.6% against the greenback, and the New Zealand dollar advanced as much as 0.5%. The US dollar weakened against most of its major peers, giving back some of Wednesday's gains after the Fed warned of rising risk to the economy from high inflation and unemployment. The dollar weakened 0.1% against the yen and fell 0.2% to the Swiss franc. Oil rose after falling more than $1 in the previous session, supported by hopes of a breakthrough in looming trade talks between the United States and China. The world's two largest oil consumers, Brent crude futures, traded above $61 a barrel, while US oil trades above $58 a barrel. Weak demand concerns capped oil price gains after the Fed Reserve held interest rates steady but warned about rising economic uncertainties. A stronger US currency makes dollar-denominated oil more expensive for holders of other currencies and dampening demand. Brazil's central bank raised interest rates by 50 basis points. That's the sixth straight hike that pushed borrowing costs to their highest in nearly 20 years and left future steps open amid global uncertainties and sticky domestic inflation. The interest rate in Brazil now stands at 14.75%. The sky-high rates come against a backdrop of a 5.49% annual inflation rate, well above the official 3% goal. The market's skeptical that inflation will return to target by 2028. For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.